If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. I get a lot of comments that ask the question, why don't we travel more? Seems like we always stay in the same area, we're looping around. We've been doing this for 2 years, and I don't think we've been looping around. What I think is we've spent 2 winters in Florida. And several things have hampered our ability to get to Texas and to Louisiana. The convenience about Florida is obviously my family lives here. With these problems that we've had in our first 2 years, Florida just seems to be like the easiest place to go just in case things don't work out. So I'm going to explain that first, and then I'm going to explain how important it is to plan your yearly trip to kind of get an idea where you're going to go. Our first year, we left Missouri, and our plan was to head straight over Tennessee and right into Virginia. Before we could even leave Missouri, the state of Missouri flooded the area we were in, so it delayed our trip for several days. Well, I mean, the whole country is just being rained out. So what we did was we headed on down to Mississippi and then over to Virginia. But then we went down to South Carolina and went into Florida. Well, we had this big elaborate plan on what we were going to do, but it just didn't work out because our problem number 1 hit us. Was someone burned down our camper. Actually, we were in Florida when that happened, so we just came over to Dad's and we built our truck camper. Well, then when we wanted to test run our new camper, we had no idea how it was going to perform. I mean, we just built it. I mean, it's not like, you buy a $10,000 camper, something goes wrong with it, you return it to the store. If something goes wrong with it, we needed to be in an area where we could get back to some power tools and get it fixed. We tested it out in Florida for a few weeks, then went into Mississippi, tested it out there. Then we went ahead and went up to Missouri. We stayed in Missouri for about a month just to make sure everything's still going to work. And then we went off to South Dakota and did some pretty hard boondocking and learned a lot. Well, the reason we're back in Florida now instead of somewhere else is right when we got out of South Dakota, we were going to head down into Nebraska, into Colorado, down into Texas. That was the original plan. But Carolyn's daughter got sick and we had to go back to Missouri in the winter. So from, I think, August or September, all the way through January, we were in Missouri dealing with the cold temperatures. It had already gotten down to 2 degrees the last week we were there, and it got a lot colder after we left. So fortunately, we were just in a hurry to find warm weather. Well, again, another problem occurred. The paint started coming off the camper. So we knew we were going to have to come down into Florida again to do some repairs to the camper. Fortunately, I think now all the bugs have been worked out of the camper. And this is going to happen to your camper too. You're going to have to work out all the bugs. You're going to have to understand the systems, and things are going to fail and you're going to have to know how to fix them. I think now we can start really planning out our adventure. Okay, now let's talk about planning. I recognize there are a lot of people who think that you can just get in your car and drive and go. Well, I don't know, to me, maybe I'm getting too old for that kind of ambition, but there's 2 things with that. One, I don't feel like just getting in the car and driving and hoping that I find a location somewhere on my path. And 2, there's a money thing. I'm not saying we're broke. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I have a budget. I budget $160 for gas each month. I think that's a very fair budget. It's the same budget that I had when I was back at my stick and brick driving back and forth to work every day. I think it's a reasonable budget to travel $160 worth of gas every month. So what I try to do is I plan out my route for the entire year. Maybe I'll drive 300 or 400 miles from this location to my next location, and then I'll drive 200 or 300 miles to the next location, so forth and so on. So what our intentions are this year is for the rest of the winter, probably into May time frame, we're going to stay down here in the southern states. near the Apalachicola National Forest. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Lake City, Florida. So we're going to head further east. That's 140 miles. We're going to stay out there for 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, we're not sure yet. And then we're going to head back this way, west, and we're going to get into Mississippi. There's 3 campgrounds there where we can stay at. So that'll take us in a month and a half. See, so every spot, you know, we're going to use that $160 for each month. You know, 4 weeks over at Lake City, 4 to 6 weeks in Mississippi. Then we're going to head into Louisiana. And then what we're going to do is try to cut up maybe through Colorado, through Nebraska, into South Dakota, with the ultimate goal of heading northwest. I was actually stationed in Washington State when I was in the Navy. And so I would like to show Carolyn the Washington State, and then we can start heading back down south into Texas for the winter. So that is the key, is that when you are traveling, you always have to be mindful more about winter, not so much about summer, because you're going to want to be in the warmer climates in, you know, October time frame. So that gives you May, roughly May through October to travel. And then you're going to come down into the warmer states, and then you're just going to hang out. That's just the way I feel like I got to do it. I'm just not interested in jumping from one warm climate state to the next warm climate state. Possibility of snow trapping our route, having to stay in rest areas or truck stops. I just want to explain to everybody that depending on your financial situation and your age situation is how you're going to end up planning your route. If you're younger and have lots of money, you're probably going to travel all over the place. But as you get older, I think what I'm doing is quite logical, that you're going to want to slow down and just enjoy each area like this for as long as you can before you move on to the next area. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.